Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee this morning. Thank you for your patience and thank you for being here early. I think we've got a few people online as well, maybe. And but I'm going to ask Representative Donahue to open us up with a prayer this morning.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we lift you up. We praise your name. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for all the blessings you bestow upon us. We always lift up our families to you to protect while we're away. Give the traveling mercies to each person that came here and take them home safe. Clear our minds and help us to do what's right for Georgians, for all our constituents who elect and send us here. We pray all these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Thank you. Well, today is St. Patrick's Day. So welcome to a great, hope everybody has a very green day. I've got a little Irish blessing here. It says, for each petal on the shamrock, this brings you a wish your way, good health, good luck, and happiness for the day and every day. So hope you're all thankful for the many blessings that we all have and the great abundant food supply that we grow here in Georgia. So thank you for what you do for ag, as well as the members we have here in person this morning. Thank you for being here. We also have Representative Dukes, Representative Holmes, Perkle, Lim, Mitchell, are zooming with us this morning. I think Chairman Perkle's down on his farm, and so I hope he's not zooming and driving his tractor at the same time. I guess that's legal though, but so so we're going to start off our agenda. We're going to move around. We got a few conflicts with some things, but I want to ask my good friend Chairman Anderson to come first and present his bill. Chairman Anderson, you're a former member of this committee. Is that not right?
Is the greatest committee I ever been on.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
Well, we're glad to be here, and Mr. Chairman, we excited to be in y'all's presence today. It's awesome to see you as chairman now. I remember back a long time ago, a little young lad came into the house, and I was had the honor to be able to help you make your way around and look at where you at now. Thank you for being chairman. And you know, I had the honor to serve with the former chairman too. And we want to thank him for where he's at right now. And he's still continuing to help farmers. The only bad thing is now I have to send him a check about every other 2 months to insurance bill that he sends me, but I had to pay that. But we glad that he's where he's at also.
You're absolutely right, Chairman. I've had some mighty good mentors come before me, and thank you for all you did to help me when I was a first year up here, or 2 or 3.
Yep.
And so anyway, so you've got SB 247.
247. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing Senate Bill 247. Very simple bill, but a good bill, and a good bill for the great farmers of this great state. This bill takes care of, you know, we have the Apple Commission. We have the Blueberry Commission. We have the Wine Commission. We have a Peach Commission. And I mean, this helps save all of them commissions, because the bottom line is, and I did not know this, but if one of the commissions want to change some of their bylaws in their commission, they have to advertise in the Atlanta paper. And we all know how expensive it is to advertise in the Atlanta paper. Well, at the same time, nobody ever sees it. That really, it affects the farmers. So what this bill does is it makes it where now we can advertise in the market bulletin or anywhere on the Agricultural Commissioner Gary Black's website, to where it will really get to the people that it really affects. And that's what this bill is all about. It takes care of the great farmers of the great state of Georgia. And it also passed out of the Senate 100%. So, I mean, you know, I just like for you to pass this bill and let's move on forward and let's go to the field and just get the crop in and get it planted. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Are there any questions? Everyone understand? Sound like a good bill to me, less cost and
It saves the Peach Commission.
absolutely. And I think in today's time with electronic email, I think we communicate pretty well amongst producers and people in the ag community that these commodity commissions
We've come a long way.
affect. And I tell you, I'm not seeing much in the AJC that really worth using too much sometimes nowadays.
You know,
anyway.
it could help you build a fire.
So I see
Start a
some
fire.
questions here. Who is Chairman
26.
Hogan?
At proper time, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a couple other questions. We'll get right back to you, Chairman Hogan. You've got a question. Who's 9?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Matthew.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I appreciate
Where
You're-
we at?
right here. Appreciate your remarks and certainly am sensitive to that. But it looks like this bill does more than just that. Can you walk us through what Section 3 does?
I was just trying to save you some time, but I will. This is where, if you have a commission that, you know, if they want to change something in their bylaws, you got to get at least 25% of that commission, the members, to agree to make it where we can change the bylaw.
And if I'm reading correctly, it looks like that's lowering the percentage from 65% of the producers
To 25%.
to 25%.
Yes.
Can you speak to the reason for that?
Well, I'm gonna ask Bo with the ag department to come forward if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
He can explain it more thoroughly to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
State your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bo Warren with Georgia Department of Agriculture. Can I just take a look? Representative Wilson, so if there's a new commodity commission being established, or if there's a significant change to that commodity commission, say a change in the assessment rate, then we have to identify all the peach growers in the state of Georgia and poll them, yes or no vote. Are they in favor of that change? The return on that, we have to receive at least 25% return on that poll. And then of that 25%, it's got to be at least a 2/3 vote. If it's a renewal, which these come up periodically and have to be renewed, if it's a renewal, there's not a 25% return requirement on that vote. It's just the 2/3 vote. Does that help? Thanks.
Some producers return their ballots and some just don't.
That's
So
right.
that's the reason you don't have a full, a lower percentage. Some commissions, folks are really good about weighing back in and renewing it. Some really don't vote one way or the other. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
good question though. Thanks.
Thank you, Bo.
Got one more question. Representative,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
Thank you, sir, for presenting your bill. But I think just a kind of a follow-up comment on that question was 2/3 of that 25% that responds is a pretty high bar.
Right.
And so I felt like that was fair. But just to be clear, I think the only concern that I have, or that most people have, is that this is still public.
Oh, yeah.
To
Oh.
whatever you notify, those notices are still public. It's certainly way more affordable. And under this electronic notification, it is shareable immediately, where you can share it with more of those peach growers or blueberries or strawberry, just, the peanut, cotton, whoever. Whereas before, you'd have to either take a picture of it, scan it, fax it, whatever it was. And so I think this is a much better process of doing it. And thank you for bringing the bill.
Thank you.
All right, we got a question, Chairman Hogan.
Make a motion to pass.
Okay, motion do pass, second, Yerder. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hear none. Online,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you. Unanimous, thank you, Chairman Anderson, good job, and on to House Rules.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Next, I'd like to, Floor Leader Dixon, you've got a bill. Welcome, welcome back. Thanks for your patience this past week, and enjoyed conversation last night with you.
I did as
So
well.
glad you're here. SB 49.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Bringing Senate Bill 49 back in front of you today. It has to do with third-party private providers. I'd be happy to go into, I know I presented it last week, be happy to go into further detail if the committee so desires. Otherwise, would be happy to answer any questions.
I think everyone heard a pretty detailed last week. I haven't heard anyone approach me with questions. I'd certainly open it up for questions right now. The bill's in your packet again, and Floor Leader Dixon would certainly entertain any questions at this time. Seeing no questions, Floor Leader LaRickia, what number are you?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman. I move do pass.
I see we have one person that would like to, would you care to make a comment on the bill? Okay, well, we've got a motion, got a second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Online? Here no against. I think we have a unanimous voice vote. So thank you, Mr. Dixon. Appreciate this. Bill passes on to House Rules.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for being back.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I'll get one more out of the way. Chairman Corbett, did you walk in? Okay. Would you be prepared to present Senator Mullis's bill? He called and said he could not be here. Are you familiar enough with that to speak to his bill?
Yeah, we included that in the bill we passed as well. We've got his language and ours, basically just changing the definition of processing, what processing means. He's just adding, just commenting on things as drying, shucking, bucking, storing, trimming. That does not constitute processing, is all he's doing with this bill.
Okay. Pretty straightforward and simple.
Pretty straightforward. Just these practices here does not qualify as a processing.
Okay, thank you. I see one question here. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to understand the practical impact of this in the law as it's written. So obviously, just packaging the raw material, I guess, doesn't qualify you as a processor. But does it prevent, I guess, the hemp farmer from selling the raw product?
It does. If you've got to, you can't sell, it's got to be converted to the oil, CBD oil, to sell it in the state. And if they can sell the hemp to somebody out of state, and they can convert it into where it states it is legal. But in Georgia, this does not constitute processing. And that was a bill we worked on for 3 years now with law enforcement, GBI, FBI, local law enforcement, prosecuting attorneys councils. I've met with more lawyers than I care to ever meet with anymore, but it was a, and I know you are one, but
That's all good. Thank you.
but I should have a law degree by now.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did allow comments, short comments, this morning on bills. Bill, would you come to welcome back to the Ag Committee? And we're going to keep comments to this bill, really, anything that you'd like to say. And
thank you for having me. First off, just because I heard about the Anderson's bill, is it possible to do something like that with the Hemp Commission, to reach out to farmers and processors and have them vote on certain policies, or does it all have to always come back here to create another law because of the legality issues of cannabis?
well, our posture this morning is this bill. We're talking to this bill, and I know you've got lots of other ideas about hemp and other things. But
Well, I'm just wondering, because it's kind of
but all our
tedious to
members are
come-
open to
keep coming down here.
communication in other ways and other times. But I think we just got a lot of business here
Mhm.
that we gotta stay focused on.
Well, the bill
so-
amends the Hemp Commission, I thought. So I thought maybe we could add another thing to the bill while we're at it, which has to do with what Representative Wilson was talking about, allowing the hemp farmers to sell the raw hemp. See, right now, not only do they have to sell out of state, but they also have to dry it. Whereas apricot farmers don't have to dry their apricots. They can sell it raw. And you see, I think it's a human rights issue because there's actually people who juice the hemp leaves to get the medicine they need. And people have healed things from arthritis, all kinds of things. And so I brought samples of, hemp seeds and hemp butter. And I'm just wondering why our farmers can't just grow these raw seeds and sell them. So it's very confusing to me. And I understand people's hands are tied, and maybe the GBI and law enforcement and lawyers and corporations might not want this, but people do. And so I don't know where we stand in honoring what I and other people want, like William Rodriguez, who came and testified about just wanting to grow it for his son who's got some injuries.
Well, thank you
But I'll end with one
for that. And I know we are in our early stages of our hemp production, and I know the commissioner and his department are working through rules and regulations, and so are we with policy. So we're gonna get there, and hopefully this industry does. Have you got a song for us?
I do. I figured I'd end just summing up
I mean, a
everything
good-
I said with a quick little song to open your hearts. It's very short.
Very short. I
Very
think
short.
our committee would like to be entertained this morning.
I mean, it might be better than coffee. I don't know. So. Somewhere over Georgia borders, like Tennessee and North Carolina, hemp fields grow, where farmers can make their own products and sell their raw hemp plants. So let folks like me grow my own hemp. It's harmless and so good too. You'll be thanked, highly ranked, for doing what's good for you. Someday we'll get beyond our fears. Perhaps this shall begin right here.
Great job. Thank you very much. You've got a very beautiful voice. I'm sorry Senator Mullis wasn't here to hear that. He really appreciates music very well. All right. Okay, where are we? I'm in a posture for a motion. So I got a motion, second. Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Online?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I hope y'all online were able to hear the music this morning. So you really missed it not being here. So I got a unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Corbett, for presenting that for Senator Mullis and Senate Bill 195 on the rules. We'll get to him that information. We've got one other Senate bill, and is Senator here? Harper. Thank you, Chairman Harper, for being here. Senate Bill 260.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry I forgot to bring my guitar this morning.
Oh, yeah. You've been
entertain as
upstage
well.
this morning.
Yeah, I have. I should have brought the guitar from the apartment this morning, Mr. Chairman. But no, I appreciate you taking up Senate Bill 260, and if that's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just roll right into it. Good deal. Senate Bill 260 deals with a couple of different things, kind of all in the same arena, and I'm going to kind of hit on a kind of what's in the bill, and then kind of speak a little more specifically, I think, to certain provisions. I'm going to kind of start backwards and start in section 2, if that's okay, and we can speak about that and then move into section 1. Section 2, this entire bill basically deals with wastewater and wastewater type issues. Section 2 deals with the wastewater board under the Secretary of State's office. The wastewater board, what this would do is allow them to charge a nominal fee to companies that provide continuing education courses that the board provides to their membership. The reason the board's asking for this, one, is most other state boards already have this authority to charge this fee to those companies that want to provide these services to the licensees of the board. And just quite frankly, the board has been, in this age of new technology and Zoom and everything else, they've got a lot of individuals who have applied to provide those services, and they have this would just give them a opportunity to kind of recoup some of the costs that they're incurring in trying to go through these applications and providing those services to the membership or to the licensees of the board in which they oversee. So that's what section 2 deals with. Moving into section 1, many of you may remember last year, I'm not sure if the bill come through this particular committee or not, but House Bill 1057 dealt with soil amendments. And this is kind of the first time we've kind of ever dove off into this issue from a state standpoint and given certain authority to local governments in regards to being able to regulate to an extent something that is normally regulated by a state department such as DNR, EPD, or Ag. And so last year we gave local governments an authority to set buffers in certain areas. What we, I think, failed to do were two things. I think we missed a certain provision, and I think it was an oversight, I believe, on our part in regards to the buffers. One part, I think, was an oversight was in regards to forest products. We exempted certain things when this bill was passed last year. One of the things we exempted was forest products. I think it was an oversight in the fact that we did not clarify that we also were talking about basically any type of forest product, because that was not the impetus of the legislation. That was not where we were coming from. That's not where this issue had arose from. And so we've added a line in there dealing with soil amendments derived from industrial byproducts You'll also see that there's a provision in there dealing with the exclusion of chemicals of byproducts of pulp digestion. But that particular provision is just clarifying language to make sure that the intent of what we meant to do last year is clear. And I think that clarifies this particular bill. Moving into the buffer piece at the bottom that, I think when we passed this bill, I really do believe that it was an oversight on our part that we did not put a buffer limitation in the bill. Many of you that have been around here for a while know that one of the most intense conversations I think we can get into sometimes is buffers. If you look at state law and what state law says, there are different buffers that are codified in Georgia law. The most significant buffer that's codified in Georgia law is 100 feet. And so when we began to look at this and based on Georgia law and based on conversations with the Department of Agriculture and others, I think we felt that 100 feet was a fair place to land. I think it makes it fair on all sides of the argument. It levels, I think, the issue in addressing this from a holistic point of view. I think it helps, allows the local governments to still have the authority to make some decisions on the local level that arguably they've never had that authority before when it comes to these type of issues. But at the same time, it helps protect the private property rights of private property owners. Because at the end of the day, when you talk about buffers, you're talking about taking away somebody's ability to use their own private property. And that's what this particular issue deals with. So we felt it was necessary to make sure we put a limitation in here. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. Under current Georgia law, if all 159 counties decided to enact buffers, they could enact buffers to a point where the entire state of Georgia would be buffered out, so to speak, under the way the current statute reads. So I think it's important for us to make sure we have reasonable policy. I think this is a reasonable approach, Mr. Chairman. I think this is a way to make sure we address this, that we can continue to address the issue where the issue is on the local level, and at the same time provide those bookends from a state policy standpoint based on what is already codified in Georgia law, based on width that's already there and that has stood the test of time, so to speak, and make it a balanced approach. And I believe that's where we are. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Chairman Harbor. We do have a few questions. Representative Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for explaining the buffer. Okay, that is something we have questions about seems like year. On line 30, what is the renewal fee?
So the fee would be a fee set by the board. They have not. I don't know what that fee would be. I'll just be honest with you. Okay. It's a fee that they will determine, but it is to be a nominal fee that they would charge. Like I said, those companies, those continuing ed companies that want to provide those services to those that are licensed in the state of Georgia.
And on 32 would be the same answer, I guess. We don't know what the fee would be on the registration fee. Right. Okay. I know a lot of times fees, I understand the cost factor, but we sometimes get carried away with using the word fee. I just like to always see some follow-up
with that.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, my question is about the buffer.
Okay.
Do you know if GMA or ACCG have an opinion on this?
I will tell you that I have discussed this with GMA and ACCG. I'm not sure that they have an official opinion or an official position. I know that there's a representative here. I'm sure they'll speak to that if they want to, but I'm not aware of an official opinion or a position of either organization.
Okay.
We've had conversations.
Thank you.
Representative Cameron.
Yeah. Does anything in this bill nullify anything that counties had acted on with the previous act?
So it arguably, Yes, if it would be outside the confines of what this 100-foot buffer, it's possible. Yeah, if they are outside of the confines of what this bill would do, that is a possibility. Yes.
Thank you. Online Zooming is Representative Mitchell. You have the floor.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. One is based on a bunch of emails that I received over this. The other is specifically about the buffer. Does any county or municipality at this point have a buffer over 100 feet?
I believe that there is. Yes. There is. Well, I think there's one county. I think there is one county that has a buffer that is greater than 100 feet.
And is that from residential areas or from waterways?
I think it is from a waterway, if I remember correctly.
Do we know what best practices are as far as buffers from waterways for these types of soil amendments?
I will tell you, I'll go back to what I said a second ago. Under Georgia law and what we have codified in Georgia and what this General Assembly has codified over the years are buffers of different widths of 25, 50, 100. The most extensive buffer that we have codified in Georgia law is 100 feet. And that is around waterways. There are EPD also has rules and regs that they can enforce, and they have over time, and they have the ability to make adjustments as they deem appropriate and deem fit in regards to waterways. But when it comes to codification of Georgia law and what's specific in Georgia code, the General Assembly has determined that 100 feet is what's appropriate. And I mean, if you want me to just to be honest with you, I would prefer this to be at 25 feet. But I understand that this is a balance. And when we were looking at this, I think 100 feet was an appropriate number to land on because that's the most extensive width that's codified in Georgia law. And I think we need to make sure that we're consistent with where we have been, and we're consistent with what has stood the test of time, and at the same time, what we believe has been sufficient to protect the environment and other natural resources in our state.
Could I make one possible technical change of no significance on line 32? I think board approved needs a dash in it. FYI, I think board approved continuing education. But in addition, I've gotten a lot of emails and people are concerned about the types of soil amendments and specifically that these soil amendments include processing byproducts from non-forest materials. Can we clarify whether the soil amendment
Are you referring to
applied
the
here?
provision that was added on the industrial forest byproducts?
Well, so specifically the question I've gotten concern from people who are living in areas where soil amendments are being used as to whether those are animal processing byproducts ever being used. And it is my assumption from reading this that they are not. Is that correct?
So you're not talking about forest byproducts. What, can you repeat your question again?
Right. So the emails that I have received have specifically mentioned chicken processing byproducts as soil amendments. Those are not relevant to this bill, correct? And the buffer is not relevant to this?
No, I actually believe that that some of that is relevant to this. That's the purpose of House Bill 1057 last year. That's the reason we are where we are today. I think that's the reason we implemented House Bill 1057 last year. But again, I think it was an oversight on our part with COVID and everything else that we dealt with last year. I think it was just our mistake that we made in not implementing a buffer at that time, and that's the reason we're back here doing this. That was I think that was the impetus of why we're here today. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we got a few more questions. Thank you, Representative Mitchell. I think we had an answer from legal counsel that's here on your first question, that the hyphen is, Okay, so, thank you for that. We'll get back with you if we need. Representative Camp, could you, you have the floor for a question?
All right. Thank you very much, Chairman Harper.
Yes, ma'am.
This is an interesting bill to me, I guess, because I live in an area where more and more people are moving in. And so farmers who farm for generations suddenly are finding themselves neighbors with homeowners.
That's
So this is a very important bill to me because obviously the people who produce the food and fiber for our state need to be able to produce food and fiber. So I appreciate this bill. And the way I was reading it, going back to Representative Mitchell's question, it says on line 18, the products will be excluded, forest products, and of course, slates, clays, shells, gypsum, and lime, which are all very organic products. But for us to be able to produce the food and fiber necessary, soil amendments must take place. So I appreciate this bill, and 100 feet is a great deal of land, especially when you start looking at a 100-acre field, because effectively, I mean, it's half an acre all the way around. So I
That's
think this is very generous on the farmer to be able to do this. But I think we need to also mention that this is going to be land that the farmer is not able to put in production. I just want to make that noted. But thank you.
Thank you. Representative Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just wanted to know, is there a position from the Sierra Club on it?
I'm not aware of a position if they have or not. I've not had any conversations with the Sierra Club, or I've not seen any position paper from them on this. No, ma'am.
Okay.
And I won't hold that Georgia Tech mask against you.
No, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, I'd open it up for public comment. We've got a couple of people that I think have been here. If we could keep it short, but Donna Blanton, okay, could you come to the podium? And
Let me get all my stuff out of the way.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak to you. My name is Donna Blanton, and I live in Oglethorpe County on Centerville Road in Lexington. My family and I have lived there for almost 19 years, and I've actually been in the county all my life. For the last 3.5 years, our community has been forced to smell soil amendments being trucked in, piled up, and applied to the adjacent land to us. The company applying these industrial byproducts stored them in a lagoon a half a mile from my home. I'm here today, and I speak for all of my neighbors when I say that the stench was horrible. Rotting pieces of chicken flesh and guts. The flies swarmed everywhere. We were held prisoners in our home and unable to use our own land. The same company applies eggshells to the land now. Another soil amendment. The shells are just as nauseating as the sludge. Due to the lack of rules and regulations, lack of stricter zoning and ordinances, the lack of manpower, some violations go unseen and undetected. Our streams were contaminated from runoff from an overfilled sludge lagoon. The land adjacent to me was quarantined due to eggshells having whole baby chickens and parts of chickens. Due to our own testing, we found arsenic in my personal well, along with many of my neighbors. Mine was at a 10.2, which is above the EPD limit. I'm asking you today, please do not pass the Senate Bill 260 and don't allow these soil amendments any closer to my home than they already are.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, we have Ruth Wilson. Could you come to the podium, please? Thank you for being here.
I didn't bring a song either. I apologize, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm not a farmer. I'm a hobby farmer. I have horses. And as Representative Donahue and I were talking about, horses don't provide food or fiber. They are best at converting money to manure, but they do provide a lot of enjoyment. And I live on a 30-acre farm in Oglethorpe County. I moved there 8 years ago from a larger farm in Morgan County. So I've been around farms all my life. I don't want to stop farmers from producing food and fiber. I like beef, I like chicken, I like eggs, but it is so unbearable at our house that for the past several years, we have not been able to plan family events outdoors. My granddaughter doesn't want to play outside. I do riding lessons. We take in rescue horses, and part of our helping those rescue horses to earn their keep, so to speak, is we give lessons to children. We do field trips for the disabled children in our county. We have the Down syndrome children from our school come out. We've not been able to do any of that because the flies are so bad and the smell is so bad. Funny story, we have a horse named Thor. I had a little girl riding Thor, and I was starting to get whiffs of the lagoon, and I was praying, oh, please, Lord, don't let the wind shift. Let us finish this lesson. And finally, the little girl looked down at the horse and she said, "Ooh, Thor, you stink." But we laugh about it, but it's not funny. I have come home from school. I'm a third grade reading specialist. I come home from school. I have gotten out of my car before and vomited before I could make it to the house because it smells so bad. It does not smell like chicken litter. It does not smell like cow poop. Those things are country perfume to me. It smells like rotting flesh and acidity like vomit. This is biosludge. This is waste material. This has nothing to do with farmers producing things for us. I understand that the waste from farms has to go somewhere, and I understand there's a not in my backyard mentality. But you were making the point that there are farmers who are now being surrounded by residential. We're the residents that were there first, and the gentleman bought the property next door to us and has been dumping biosludge on it. We were there first. We have the right to enjoy our farm. I'm an outdoor girl. I like to be outside in the swing reading. I like to ride my horses. I want my granddaughter to ride her bike. I have a brand new grandson, and I want him to be able to enjoy the property, and we can't enjoy it. The flies are so bad. I spend probably $50 a week on an industrial strength fly spray for my horses. And I'll go outside and their faces are covered in flies. We didn't sign up for this. The man next door is not a farmer. He is a waste producer. And HB 1057 was supposed to help us to be able to regulate this from ruining our lives. And I'm just afraid if we go and start passing a different bill, smells don't respect buffers. We have neighbors 3 and 4 miles away that when the wind is right can smell the horrible smell that we smell. But I'm less than half a mile from the lagoon. When I bought my farm, it was 700 acres of timber owned by Berry College, and it was beautiful. He has stripped it. All the runoff comes to my farm, floods my farm on a regular basis. We can live with that. We built a culvert. We can live with the runoff. My well water is 7.1 for arsenic, which 0.3, I believe, is what all the wells in our area have. So we're very highly contaminated with arsenic. I don't have the money to sink a new well. And I don't have the money to move. I don't want to move. I love my county, but I'm afraid if we start codifying buffers, that bad actors like my neighbor will be able to go in and reduce actual buffers for things like soil amendments. Because like I said, smells don't respect buffers. They can't measure 100 feet. And the EPD and all those things that are supposed to protect us, they don't have the manpower.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Appreciate it.
I
Please don't
appreciate
pass
you,
this
and
bill.
I know my committee shares your concern, but we're
Thank you so much.
trying to move things forward. Chairman Harper.
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like a second to just kind of discuss a few things. I think And I understand their passion, understand their concern, but I think that's the whole purpose of why we passed House Bill 1057 last year to address this. And actually House Bill 1057, that's the first time that we've gave the Department of Agriculture the ability to regulate these type of issues and work with the Environmental Protection Division in this regard. That's not really been the case over the last couple of years. This is kind of a new thing. So 1057 is brand new. It's a new state law. That also said, I think it's important to point out that we're focusing on soil amendments. I think there's a particular case where, and I think in some of the situations they may be referring to, EPD actually come down on this particular individual pretty hard because they were actually violating EPD rule, reg, and state law. So they were actually already outside of the confines of what we're already able to regulate. Soil amendments don't include dead animals. That is not what we're talking about in this particular bill. That is already, dead animals are in the regulation, and the waste and how they're disposed of is already regulated. And I think some of these bad actors have already been addressed, and they should be addressed. I don't think it's I don't think you should be playing outside of the confines of the law or what the regulations are. I think it's also important to note how these soil amendments are applied. I think some of you know it's pretty significant, sophisticated equipment that is used that injects this in the dirt, under the dirt, and it covers itself back up as the equipment passes. I think it is important for us to address the bad actors, and I think we need to continue to work with EPD and the Department of Agriculture to do that. But I think that the issue at hand is maybe a little different because we're not regulating lagoons here. That's a completely different situation in and of itself as well. This is specific to soil amendments. Lagoons are a different issue that are regulated under EPD and under the Department of Ag as well. So I think that's a conversation that maybe we need to have on a different topic.
Thank you for clarifying that. And you are exactly right, Chairman, that this is just soil amendments.
That's
and
correct.
We have two agencies regulating what soil amendments are and how they're applied.
That's right. Nutrient
Plans for the farm and those type things. So a very clear clarification for that. I'm going to take a couple more questions. I know time is getting short. We got a couple of little things to do. So I'm Representative Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the clarification. Really, we always need to understand what we're looking at here. But to Ms. Blanton and Ms. Wilson, we have a commissioner here that is one of the most honest men you'll ever meet, you'll ever have the opportunity to speak to. And I'm sure he knows a little bit about the bad actors. We have a lot of good actors that actually do it right. But when they don't, we need to hold them accountable. I'm sure he knows about it, but I would ask you to reach out to him and just say, here's what's going on. And guess what? We'll put a little more pressure on that. That's what we're here to do. And then we want to make sure that you see results. We don't take this lightly here. And it's something that, I appreciate you driving all the way up here and want to let you know that. And again, thank you for the clarification, because we run things together many times that it's kind of like we passed a hearing aid bill here a few years ago, had nothing to do with hearing aids. I'll never forget that. But again, thank you very much. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, Representative. And also thank you, Commissioner Black, for being here this morning. Thank you for the job you do in your department. And I know you do a lot of regulation and do a good job at it. So thank you very much for that. I've got one other question. Representative Jaspers is online. Chairman Jaspers, would you make a comment to this bill?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Just real quickly, I just wanted to make sure the committee members that may not be actively involved in agriculture know that, to apply a waste product to agricultural land, you have to have a nutrient management plan. And those plans are detailed. They're done by agricultural agents, consultants, in cooperation with the farmers to make sure they're applied appropriately and for the use of the crop they're grown on. And just like Senator Harper said, there are bad actors out there, and that's why we have 2 regulatory agencies that work on them. And I just want to make sure the committee that may not be involved in it know that, you know, we're all, you know, advocates of a great environment and working hard to make sure, you know, that it's right. And I just want to throw that out there and for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Jaspers. I appreciate that. And thank you, Senator, for bringing this bill. And so, Floor Leader LaRickia, I'm sorry. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, my district does not extend to the area where these 2 ladies just spoke, but I'm right next to it. And as
Yes,
you
sir.
probably know, we've got a situation out of my
Yes, sir.
district that a lot of people are concerned about.
That's correct.
So I appreciate what you're doing. And I also think I did not quite understand until I had some discussion with other representatives how crucial soil amendments are to a lot of industries in Georgia.
Yes, sir.
So I respect that.
Yes, sir.
I just, our situation out in District 33 and in an adjoining district has been pretty dire for a while. And while I appreciate the statement that we're trying to give the state a lot of tools to enforce and regulations to try to improve the quality of life for the people who live in the areas where these things happen, the perception out of my district is nothing's really happening.
Right.
And so they're turning to local governments to try to address the issues. And I'm just concerned this seems to take away one of the particular tools that local governments have to try to be responsive to their folks who are dealing with, you know, the 10% of the actors who aren't doing it right.
Yes, sir.
And as one thing I seem to have learned from just being up here a couple of months is we spend 90% of our time dealing with 10% of the people. And so I'm just concerned that 100 feet width, while it makes a lot of sense in other contexts, might not make a lot of sense in this particular context. So I appreciate
Yes, sir.
that the state has a great interest in setting a state policy, but I'm just a little confused about the 100.
I understand, and Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
I understand. I appreciate your situation, and I look forward to working with you going forward. I know you have a unique situation where you are. I think that's the reason we had House Bill 1057 last year and your predecessor. I enjoyed working with him.
I appreciate those efforts.
And I look forward to working with you going forward and however we can do, whatever we can do to help you in addressing that issue in your local community. I want you to know you got my full support and working that way. As you mentioned, I do think that it is a state policy issue to an extent personally. I think, I'm dealing with these buffer issues over the last couple of years, especially in my role now as chairman of the Natural Resources Committee in the Senate. These become very intense conversations a lot of times, but I think it's important for us to have a state policy and also give our regulatory agencies the ability and the resources they need to address these issues. Because I think at the end of the day, that's where these issues are best addressed in our regulatory entities. And we need to make sure we give them the power to do that. And we did that last year in 1057. And I look forward to continuing to do that going forward and working with you in that regard.
And I appreciate that. I think a lot of folks in the district feel like nothing's happening yet.
Yes, sir.
And so I want you to understand the reason for my vote, and I hope we can continue to have
Yes, sir.
a dialogue to work on these
We can do
issues,
that.
Try to get some relief to folks in District 33.
Yes, sir.
and other
I
areas.
look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Leverett. Got one more question, Representative Bentley.
Thank you. Can you hear me? One.
What no? Huh?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator Harper, for your work on
ma'am.
this bill. And I hear the comments of my colleagues about the clarification, but I also hear very clearly the concerns of the 2 ladies that just spoke. And I just want to make absolutely certain that there are going to be some measures to address their concerns, because when she spoke about being outside with her grandchild, that struck a nerve for me.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I just want to ensure, I'm going to vote for your bill, but I want to ensure that we're going to have some strong commitment to help address their concerns and what they're having to deal with every day living on their property.
Representative Bentley, I'll tell you, you have my commitment to work with Director Dunn and Commissioner Black in ensuring that this issue is addressed. I know they're working on it. I know this is kind of a a new thing because the legislation and the statute that we have that we passed last year is not even a year old yet. So I know that there's some work to be done, but I'm committed to making sure that we address it, and anything that I can do, working with Commissioner Black and Director Dunn and others, I'm willing to have those conversations and work to address it going forward. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Representative Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Chairman Harper, for the conversation here. Just wanted to point out two things, Mr. Chairman. Number one, that in the budget coming up, the General Assembly has funded a soil scientist for the Department of Agriculture and an enforcement officer. Commissioner Black may want to address it a little bit further, but we understand the issues, we understand the importance, and we understand we've got bad actors. And due to the lack of regulation over these such things, which was the impetus for 1057 that was passed last year. But just wanted to point out that those are both included in the budget to give the department a little bit more enforcement to make sure that we are addressing the issues.
If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Representative Meeks. I have failed to mention that there is, as Representative Meeks did say, there is money in the budget to fund some positions specific to addressing these concerns. And I hope Representative Bentley, maybe that helps answer some of your concern. And I also appreciate Representative Chairman Jaspers, and some of the comments he made and kind of laying out how soil amendments come about, and the fact that you have to have a plan, and those plans will be worked with the Department of Agriculture and these new positions that we've put in the budget, and are working with the Department of Agriculture and helping to try to address this going forward.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Harper, appreciate your time here. I know we're busy, we're getting to the hour, so I'd entertain a motion. I think I see no more questions. Floor Leader LaRicchia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's no way to rehash all the thousands of hours of work that's went into this, from Commissioner Black to the chairman of our ag committees. And so I know that they have done their due diligence in coming up with a fair and reasonable approach to this. I move do pass.
Have a motion. Do I hear a second? Got a second. Any other discussions? Hear none. All in favor, so motion aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
No.
Couple opposed. Online.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay. Hearing two ayes, I know. Clearly the ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Senator.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Who is your House sponsor for this bill? Have you got one yet? We can figure it out.
Corbett.
All right, cool. Okay. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here. We got one other small piece of business, if we can do it. I know some of y'all have to get, we have our two appointments to Commodity Commission, Commission for Equine. And my understanding from the commissioner the other day was equine and Georgia grown commissions are a little bit different. These are not actual appointments to the commission. These are sort of a nominating committee type appointment. So I just want to make that clear. I did not make that clear here. So they are sort of on this other appointment board. But Jimmy Kowalski, you have his resume here. It's a reappointment, and I'd like to have a motion, if it's the will of the committee, to reappoint him to that position for the equine position commission. Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you for that. Also, it's the same situation here for this position for Georgia grown. And the suggestion we've had is Brennan Washington here in front of you. You've got his resume, And this is the Commissioner Black and his team, and also the Georgia Grown Commission would like to recommend Mr. Washington for this position also. So I would like a motion if you or really entertain any other suggestions. Representative Thomas, you had a suggestion. Would you?
Yes, I had a suggestion for Tenesio with Nature's Farms. Chairman, is it too late to submit that?
Well, I think it's the will of the committee. I think Mr. Washington has been pretty well vetted. I think I think with the position, I'd like to move Mr. Washington, if you don't mind that. But we can certainly, you're certainly in a position to nominate your person if you'd like to put it in front of the committee. I would allow that.
If it's your will.
Excuse me.
If it's your will, we'll go with your nominee.
Okay, we'll certainly take that in consideration. These come up to us every year on different commissions, so thank you for that. So I'm looking for a motion. Got a motion, second. All in favor from Mr. Washington, say aye.
Aye.
Please. Thank you, Representative Thomas, and everyone on the committee. I know our days are getting short here. I don't know if we'll have another meeting, possibly next week. We'll see what other action comes in front of this committee. And having no other business, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank y'all.